On a summer afternoon in 1974, a girl walking her dog through the dunes of Provincetown, Massachusetts, found the body of a woman. For nearly 48 years, no one knew her name. She became known only as the Lady of the Dunes, the oldest unsolved, unidentified homicide in Massachusetts history. It would take a genetic breakthrough decades later to finally give her a name. It was July 26, 1974. The young dog walker's discovery in the Race Point Dunes set off a homicide investigation that would stretch across generations of detectives. An autopsy estimated the woman was between 25 and 30 years old. Investigators believed she had been dead for roughly 10 days to 3 weeks before she was found. The official cause of death was determined to be a blow to the head. It was a violent, deliberate act, not an accident or natural death. Whoever killed her had removed her hands and severely damaged her skull and jaw. Investigators believed this was done deliberately to prevent identification through fingerprints or dental records. Without fingerprints, dental records, or a name, detectives had almost nothing to work with. The case went cold almost as quickly as it opened. Over the years, investigators tried everything available to them, including facial reconstruction, hoping someone might recognize the woman's face and come forward. Tips trickled in for decades. Names were floated, leads were chased, and each one led nowhere. The woman in the dunes remained a mystery. As years turned into decades, the case earned a grim distinction: the oldest unsolved and unidentified homicide case in the state of Massachusetts. By the 2020s, forensic science had advanced far beyond what was possible in 1974. A new kind of investigation was about to take shape. In 2022, the FBI and Massachusetts State Police partnered with Othram, a Texas genetic genealogy laboratory that specializes in identifying the unidentified using DNA. Using genetic material recovered from the victim's skeletal remains, researchers built a DNA profile detailed enough to begin tracing a family tree. That family tree eventually led investigators to relatives who could confirm who the woman really was, a breakthrough decades of traditional detective work had never achieved. On October 31, 2022, authorities announced her identity: 37-year-old Ruth Marie Terry, originally from Tennessee. After 48 years, the Lady of the Dunes finally had a name. With a name in hand, investigators could finally trace her life and the people connected to her, including the man she had married shortly before her death. Investigators turned their attention to Guy Rockwell Moldavin, an antiques dealer who had married Ruth Marie Terry around 1973 to 1974, right before she disappeared. Moldavin was not a stranger to suspicion. He had previously been named a suspect, though never charged, in the 1960 deaths of a former wife and stepdaughter in Seattle. That earlier case had gone nowhere legally, and Moldavin moved on with his life, eventually settling in Massachusetts and marrying Ruth Marie Terry. Investigators built a case connecting Moldavin to Terry's murder using the timeline of their marriage, his history, and the evidence gathered from the scene decades earlier. But there would be no trial. Guy Rockwell Moldavin had died in 2002, 2 decades before his name was ever connected to the Lady of the Dunes case. On August 28, 2023, the Cape and Islands District Attorney's Office announced that the case was officially closed. Authorities concluded that Moldavin was responsible for Ruth Marie Terry's murder, based on the totality of the evidence gathered across nearly 50 years of investigation. It's important to be clear about what that closure means. Moldavin was never arrested, never charged, and never tried in a court of law for this crime. Because he died in 2002, the 2023 announcement represents an official investigative conclusion by law enforcement, not a criminal conviction handed down by a jury. For investigators, it was the end of the oldest unsolved case in Massachusetts. For the justice system, it was a case that could never actually reach trial. Ruth Marie Terry spent 48 years known only by the place her body was found. Modern DNA science finally returned her name, even though the man authorities named in her death never faced a courtroom. Her case closed not with a verdict, but with an answer, a reminder that some truths arrive decades too late for the justice they were meant to serve.